Every family has one thing no one talks about: a betrayal, a lie, a secret agreement to pretend it never happened. In this episode, Robert shares powerful real life stories of hidden pain, unspoken shame, and how emotional programs are passed down through the generations. And together we're going to explore how families unconsciously mirror and mimic the very patterns they swore they'd never repeat, whether it was addiction, abuse, abandonment, or simply the quiet rule to never speak of it again. These secrets don't disappear, they drive our choices, they become the unspoken rules that we live by. I'm Crystal Dirksen, co-host of the Robert Jean Experience, and I'm here with your host, Robert Jean. He is a behavioral engineer, neuroplastician, drug rehab consultant, and the creator of eutaptics and Faster EFT.
Wow, this is a big topic. Of course, the secrets that we don't want to talk about. As a matter of fact, the secrets we don't even remember or want to remember. It's like we experience life. And by the way, when you come into this world, you come in as a little baby. You know nothing. You're just a blank slate ready to be educated on how the world is. And depending on the atmosphere and the dynamics of the world in which you come from, they start impacting you, the child. And of course, inside of us, we have what you call the learning machine, the survival machine. And so, depending on, the circumstances of your birth, you could be the first one or the last one or the middle one. Each of these scenarios have different plays, different environments, different impacts, So, I see that, because I have a belief, and I believe that, first of all, you're not broken, you're not screwed up. You're just doing what you know how to do based on what you've experienced and learned from your jungle, that's your family, or wilderness, or whatever you want to call that.
Did you call it a jungle?
A jungle, yeah. Well, it could be like a lot of crazy people swinging from limb to limb,
Yep.
You never know. We come from our own environments. And of course, our environments impact us, train us, teach us how to survive and be a good member. Some they'll be a great follower of the group. They will side with mom, they'll side with dad, or they'll side with nobody. They'll fight the group or go along with the group, or they'll pick up their own stuff. And so from these experiences, we had to survive in the world. So I always say that, you're not broken, you're not screwed up, you just learn how to act the way you do. And be honest with you, personalities are created by experiences, by experiences. Your experiences impact you. Like if you were say, if I'll use Crystal, for example. Crystal was the golden child, the one that they wanted to have a baby, and they tried and they tried and they tried, and finally Crystal was born, and she's the only one, the first grandchild, doted, and they always said, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're all these wonderful things about you." Well, Crystal's going to grow up in a different world if she was the last child, and your mother was tired, and you were born. You look just like your daddy, and she hates your daddy, or the guy who raped her, or the guy who beat her. All right. And they said, "I can't stand this child. I wish I never had this child." And then the older siblings picked on you and bullied you, and rolled you up in a carpet and threw you in the trunk of a car. You're going to have a different world. So our worlds are created by exposure. Of course, I'm the oldest, and of course, my mother ran away from home. Got pregnant, came back, gave birth to me. Single woman. Pregnant, the shame, grandma's a Christian, the shame and all this stuff. I'm a bastard child at the time. So I have a different environment than the last one, And of course, from our exposures, it impacts us. I do believe that I was lucky in a sense, because, when I was born, I had a grandmother. She was 34 years old when I was born. And grandma actually took care of me. Mom would live her, so she'd wake up, she'd baby me, because she's a 15-year-old baby having a child, Right. And grandma always wanted me, but mom wouldn't let her have me. And so by the time my mother was 19, she had 4 kids, So it's a total different world than somebody else who was a single child. Now, by the way, I do feel sorry for the single children in a lot of ways, because they're the lonely one. They're the one everything dumped on them. It's a different story. But
Right.
the things is we have crazy people in our lives.
So tell us a little bit more about that, about the family line. Like, so from all the years of experience of working with people, you've seen the oldest child, you've seen what happens to the middle child and to the
Mhm.
youngest. What's the difference?
Well, usually, there's variances. Usually, the oldest one is the practice on. They're usually the hardest on, and the middle child doesn't exist. It's the overlooked child. It's the one in the quiet, or the sometimes you say the oldest child, and then they have the second child, and the oldest one hated the idea that this child was born. It took away their glory. They're now no longer important, and then the older child picks on this one, and so now she's the quiet one, she's the shy one, whatever it is. And then, of course, the youngest one oftentimes are the ones that's being picked on. They're the one that's not fast enough to keep up with them. So they think I'm not good enough, not smart enough, not fast enough. They're the comedians, they're the jokesters, or they're the spoiled brats. There's so many stories to this and many variances everywhere, but they're common themes. They're common themes. And again, depending on the emotional environment and the parents, all of them could be jacked up, have
Right.
a problem.
Right. So
And
why
of
do you feel
course,
sorry? Why do you feel sorry for the youngest or for the only child?
I just saying that to be kind of funny, but
Oh,
it,
okay.
let's see, you got the single child. They're the one that goes to school with a briefcase instead of a lunchbox. They're the one hanging around all the adults and they don't really have time, don't get to spend time with kids. They're the one all by themselves. So that's a common story. Now, by the way, you could be a single child by being the oldest one and the next child is 10 years younger. Or you could be the youngest child and no one's there but you. So there's a lot of variances here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the crazy thing is that, I always say that the cause of all problems starts at birth. And if you hadn't been born, you wouldn't have any problems. But the deal is, your parents or whoever raised you had emotional issues. They had their insecurities, they had their hurts, they had their own abuses and harms. And so, guess what they're going to do? They're going to share it with this child in their life. So, their emotional system will start impacting this child. Of course, the child's innocent, but the child is a learning machine and they're going to operate within that craziness. And so from that craziness, they're going to start building an identity and a value and who I am and how am I to act. And then they're going to start after they, go to school, grow up, they're going to find their people. And what I mean their people is what they're familiar with. If they were used and abused, they will either be an user or an abuser and or they'll find someone to use and abuse them. These are systems.
Yeah. Book a free strategy call if you're unsure what to do, or go ahead and book a session with Robert and clean up the issue immediately. That is the go-to. So if you know that there is a major issue and you need help right now, get on Robert's calendar, book a one-on-one session with him. If you're not sure what to do, go ahead and book a strategy call with me and we will help you to get on the right path.